going on, my friends? This is Blue Jacket Bricks, and I'm doing something a little different today. Now, I don't ever really talk about the Ninjago series. In fact, I've kind of been on and off with Ninjago over the past few years, but I wanted to make a video about a particular topic that's been on my mind for a little while since I see no one else really talking about it. So, I was browsing the Ninjago wiki and reading up on trivia on some of the pages, and something I found out was that there were talks of having a season of Ninjago centered completely around space and aliens and whatnot, and it just never happened. Basically, the Hagman brothers said they almost made a season about aliens after rebooted, and that the Project Arcturus storyline was going to set this up. This would have been very interesting. Maybe one of those metal-eating bugs hitched a ride on the Ninja's rocket back to Earth and somehow survived not only re-entry, but when their rocket exploded, and it's reproducing at an alarming rate, eating away at Ninjago's infrastructure. Or perhaps another intelligent species out there in the cosmos were after the golden weapons after spotting them on the comet, but the Nindroids got to them first, so when they discovered Ninjago's planet, they began studying its weaknesses and plotted an invasion or total destruction. But I guess we'll never find out because Hubby Andreasen just said no. Apparently, he's afraid that one season about creatures from another world threatening Ninjago will draw away from a show that frequently has creatures from another world threatening Ninjago. Yeah. So people on Twitter asked if aliens would ever appear in Ninjago in the future. Tommy Andreasen smugly responded with, "Not on my watch," and to another person, "I'm not keen on Ninjago in space." If you're so against sending the ninja on space adventures, why did you have them do it and reboot it to begin with? Ninjago has pretty much done everything under the sun from time travel to undersea expeditions, getting teleported into supercomputers in games, to fighting hordes of snakes. Not once, but this theme has happened 3 times, but differently for some reason. Not only that, but it's been established that Jay is a huge fan of Starfarer, and it's been a little bit of a recurring reference throughout the show, so what is so wrong with having a season about outer space? He then also said, "Personally, I think there's plenty of fun to be had without space adventures." Okay, you're not wrong there because the show has been going on for so long, and out of all of its episodes, only two, no, 1.25 episodes involve space. But still, why the hell not? So basically, this is all coming from someone who loves sci-fi and space stuff, and I was super stoked in 2014 when I found out that Ninjago was going to space. Now, my patience wore pretty thin when, for some reason, Cartoon Network decided to release the season 2 episodes at a time, every few months in the US, so I ended up watching crappy camera to television recordings of the episodes on YouTube that aired many months in advance elsewhere in the world, most of which weren't even in English, but it didn't kill my excitement. Now, with all these different realms established, it does sort of get in the way of introducing space, since anyone in Ninjago could easily cross over to another universe via the Realm Crystal, but Ninjago's realm isn't bound to just Ninjago. No, it keeps going throughout space. The entire universe is the realm, and to me, there's potential to keep building the show's lore by incorporating outer space. I mean, when you think about it, Ninjago as a world should already be involved in space. With how modernized everything is, certainly they've got a few telecommunication satellites up there and, I don't know, maybe a space station? I still have my doubts anyway that Ninjago and the Dark Island are the only two major land masses on the planet, but I won't really get into that. Maybe I'll save that for another video if I feel like it. Anyway, if things like these do exist in this world, that tells us that Ninjago has a space program. And if Ninjago has a space program, they clearly have plans to leave the planet and explore the solar system. Now, going back to the Void, the spaceship Arcturus has lunar rovers in it. Assuming the digital overlord or Nindroids didn't just invent these things themselves, the existence of the rovers implies that the humans of Ninjago have been to the moon, or were planning to and just haven't yet in this timeline. Not only that, but Ninjago's technological advancement also surpasses our own world in some aspects, so for them it might be an easier feat to explore the moon and other planets, which means it's not totally out of the realm of possibility that a crew of astronauts from Ninjago accidentally anger an alien civilization out there somewhere, and they come to Ninjago looking to conquer it. I mean, when you really think about it, a lot of the seasons of Ninjago involve like large armies and whatnot of different realms and origins, kind of wanting to come and conquer Ninjago just to, turn it into their own image and whatnot. So, what's really stopping aliens from doing the same thing? All things considered, though, it does feel weird now that the Ninja went to outer space so early into the show's run. Granted, this was back when Rebooted was intended to be the final season of Ninjago, before they decided to keep it going for another 8 years after that. But with space usually associated with being the final frontier, you would think that if the plan all along was to keep the show going and just play along with teasing that the third season would be the end, that they would have held off on going to space for a later season. Again, none of this really matters, but if Ninjago were to go back to space, namely if Tommy Andreasen let the Hagman brothers have their fun, it certainly should be saved for the toward the end of Ninjago for when that day inevitably comes. Now, I'm not saying it should be the final season, but it could play a major role in setting up that big endgame. Now, it's also been said that maybe Ninjago should stay out of space and let other LEGO themes explore it, and that Ninjago should remain more grounded. But here's the thing about that: those other themes don't have animated series dedicated to them, or at the very least, an advanced form of advertising and product placement to keep the flow of sets sailing, because let's be real, that's pretty much what Ninjago is. So, with that, let's take a step back for a minute and think about what it all boils down to: the sale of toys. And the last alien themed line of sets didn't last very long, so maybe incorporating Ninjago into an alien conquest type idea might reinvigorate that interest because people watch the show, they see all these cool buggies and mechs and whatnot, and immediately go, hey, I want to have that. So they go buy the set and add it to their collection. You can't really tell me that with how popular the space line was back in the 80s and the constant cry for the return of classic non city or creator space, like that a wave of Ninjago with spaceships wouldn't do well. I mean, I sure as heck would love to get my hands on something like that. If they can do something like a submersible Destiny's Bounty, could you imagine a rocket bounty? What would that even be called? Let me know down below. I'd love to hear your suggestions. But you guys get what I'm saying, right? Ninjago needs to go back to space. So with that, leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll be back soon.